try to discuss some of the concept in C#. Okay, so the first concept is you have two options, right? Usually, uh, the first tips here is uh, usually. So tips one is okay, any container class, for an example, is list. So usually list class, using of list class is always performance hit, create performance hit against the normal array, right? So if you are not very much sure about the size, you have to use some dynamic container, right? But if you are sure about the size which you are using, probably in that case normal array would be better. For example, just write some example. So for example, list int 32, right? Sorry. List int 32 li is equal to new list, and I would say int 32, and this is your object, right? So you have created a list. Then what you do here is a stopwatch, right? So just use a stopwatch class and just double tap. Okay, so you have created one stopwatch. Now you say that stopwatch.start, that's okay, and then you just do like for int I is equal to 0, I is less than 10,000 times, and I plus plus. Okay, and then what you do here is yeah, so I is already defined, that's why it is complaining, but so just make it like I is okay. Now you have to do is list dot add, so you just call the add, and that's it. Okay, sorry. So this is your basic things, and then you have added this and then stop. Okay, so start and stop. Okay. Now you just have to write your console.write. Okay, console.write, and you just say that the tick count here is sw dot elapse millisecond. Okay, and then you just have to new line. Okay, so just write this one, and so just check the compiling it, and you will see that the tick count here is 0. So tick count here is 0. So I think sw dot elapsed ticks. Okay, so do this thing, and then no, it is just like new line. I'm sorry, don't need to do this, just this and this. So you'll see something like that. Okay, so it is something like 1603. Okay, perfect. Now the same thing you should do with normal array. What you will get, let's see. So int I and 32 and my array. Okay, and this my array is defined as 10,000. Okay, no, not this way, sorry. This is new int 32 and 10,000. So new int 32. Okay, so int 32 array. So now new int 32, this array. What is saying? Cannot represent convert int 32 int. But why I'm not saying that int. Okay, sorry. So this is your code, and you just have to copy this code also. Instead of li add, you just have to do like my array of I. Yeah, so no, this I is equal to I, and just say, yeah, so you just do the here sw dot restart. Okay, so instead of writing here, let's move one line below, and then here you just have to sw dot stop, and yeah, and then just copy this line again and just paste it here. So in this case, like, yeah, so you'll see that my tick count is definitely lots of differences there. So if you will see that okay, so bring this one here in right side, so you'll see that this is the difference. It's a huge one, right? It's almost 10 times. So the only difference I'm making here is that I'm using here the container, I'm using here the normal array. So please use very before using any dynamic container, you always think, does it require, can I avoid it? If I can avoid, please avoid it. If I'm not in position to avoid, then anyway you have to use it, right? So that is what this tips is saying to you. Always, right? Always. So tips 2. Okay, so always use for loop instead of for each. Let's try as an example. So for example, int I, so how will I say? Okay, so okay, so vector int v is equal to new vector. Okay, now what you do here is just iterate int I is equal to 0, I is less than 10,000 plus I, and I'm saying that you just have to vi is equal to I. Okay, so this is the one thing I have to do. I is not, again, it's not compiling, that's why it is getting problem everywhere. But then, so this v dot push back, or maybe push, oh yeah, so I think v dot add is also not there. So how do you do it then? So okay, so so list int so list int 32, and I'll say count is equal to new, this is count is equal to new list. Okay, so so this is, now what I have to do is for I is equal to 10,000 plus I plus I would say count dot add is this. Okay, so you have this like that. Okay, now just create a stopwatch. So stopwatch is already there, stopwatch is already there. Now let's create a stopwatch dot restart, and then what I have to do is just use the for loop for int I is equal to 0, I is less than count dot count method, and then plus I. Okay, and smartly what you do here is, okay, so just one thing is like, yeah, so, and what you do here is smartly that you just create two list more. So two list more, list int 32, and L1 is equal to new list int 32, and that's it. So one is this and another is this. So now this is here L2. Instead of doing this, I would pass it L1 dot add, and that's it. Okay, and so this is okay. Then SW is stop. So SW stop, and then I will say console dot write line, and I will say that the tick count is SW dot elapsed ticks. Okay, so this is one thing, and another thing is, now here you don't need to do this one. So for var num, so for each, just like okay, so sorry, so for num in count, for variable num in count, so either do this thing, or you just have to define int 32, but not for each actually. So for each int 32 num in count. Now if I say that count is this, so yeah, so this is like int, can I say that? Of course you can say here int, so int boxing unboxing is necessarily happening here, and then so now if you look at the stock count, this is also producing some values, right, which is primarily different. Okay, so this is the